This is Christine Brown, and while I have to listen to this podcast as my motherly duty, you have the choice not to. My sons, and of course Michael, sometimes say some naughty things when they're trying to be funny, but really, they're just being stupid. You still want to listen? Go right ahead. I am not your mother.
Welcome again to the Patriots Dynasty podcast. Back with me are the three amigos. Mr. Mello, Mike, how you doing?
Pretty darn good, I would say.
I'm glad to hear it. It sounds like you're recording from the beach, so I love that.
Oh man, it's the concrete beach of Los Angeles.
Oh baby,
yes,
it's great. You're not on fire at the moment, are you?
No, everyone's actually. That noise you're hearing is people trying to leave the city, but I've decided to stay and do this thing. So well, you're welcome.
We appreciate your commitment. Thank you very much.
You got it.
All right. Also with us, we have Steve Brown. How's it going, Steve?
Good. We'll miss you on future podcasts, Mike.
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
We also, with us in a very Halloween mood today, have Greg Brown. How's it going, G?
Going great. Best day of the year.
Yeah? Is this your favorite holiday?
No, but I love Halloween.
All right, fair enough. What is your favorite
Getting
holiday?
Spooky today, boys.
Oh, great. And I believe Greg is actually carving a pumpkin as we speak. So
with a bowl full of candy sitting right next to me.
Yeah. Have any of you guys had any trick-or-treaters this year?
One.
No, we had two. And they're the first ones we've ever had in the 12 years of living in our house.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
I don't think they're
very excited.
I don't think there are kids in Los Angeles. I don't see them.
Yeah, I don't think there are either.
Yeah, so
if they are, they're child actors and they're already doing drugs anyway instead of candy.
Hey, whoa, we're not doing that.
Oh, we already did. It's fine. All right, so this week we're talking about week 3 of the 2001 NFL season, where the Colts came to visit. I almost said Gillette Stadium, but it's not Gillette Stadium. It's Foxborough Stadium. This Gillette Stadium is still being built in the background. And this is notable because it is Tom Brady's first ever NFL start after Drew Bledsoe's injury. The hit her around the world? Is that what we called it last week? The last episode? And as we talk about, we kind of put together some Boston Globe articles from before the game and after the game. And pretty much the entire week's worth of sports section from the week up to this was all about nothing but the Bledsoe injury and how they actually decided that Brady was going to be the starter instead of any of the more experienced quarterbacks. I was wondering what you guys thought of that, because they actually picked up what's his name? Freeze. What's his first name?
Doug or something like that?
Wasn't it John?
John Freeze. Yeah, that's something like that. And the Patriots went out and picked him up, but still ended up starting Brady anyway for reasons I think that were unbeknownst to at least the Boston sports media at the time, but became relatively evident pretty quickly, even in this game.
And the Boston sports media is still complaining about Brady.
This is true. I don't think that'll ever stop. But now they're complaining that he's gonna leave instead of that he's here. So it's a refreshing difference.
Bunch of haters.
Animals.
This is true. Do any of you guys actually get to hear any Boston sports media these days?
No.
I have to search for it.
Away.
Yeah, I have to search for it. But what I do find, the national media is intolerable, so I don't know how it is locally. But, you get the worse. Stephen A. Smiths kind of ranting. You get the Max Kellermans doing their thing. But I feel like it's tired. They've been doing this for, 5-6 years now. Mm-hmm. And the stuff that they're talking about now with selling homes and, we'll find out, I guess, where this all heads. But it seems like a pretty far reach nowadays. So I don't know how it is for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm still living in it, and it's actually worse here. It feels like Boston sports talk radio, especially, and sports Twitter. All of the big names, it feels like they're actively rooting against not even just the Patriots, but New England sports teams in general.
Well, that's why we're doing this, right? To give a fresh perspective of real homerism.
That's exactly right. If you want to break from all that negativity, this is the place to be. Put on your Patriots footy pajamas and come spend some time in our bedroom of Patriots love.
I think my girlfriend thinks it's weird how handsome I think he is.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean,
maybe she should be less judgmental.
Yeah, a dude recognizing the handsomeness of another dude, I don't see anything wrong with that. It's 2019.
Especially when he's that handsome.
I mean, Tom Brady, he ages like a fine wine.
That's true.
Brady? Long hair Brady, though. Bring that back.
All I know is I have insider info here. I know a gentleman who has dated several women who have been with intimately Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. So
really?
I can't think of a luckier guy than that.
Who is he? Name names.
I can't reveal this information.
Come on. Would you bang him?
Who, my friend?
Yes.
That's funny.
While we're on the topic.
It was like an Eskimo Brothers sort of thing, right?
Of course.
Look, I can't talk about this gentleman. I'm sorry.
That's because it's him, boys. It's him.
It is not. It is not. Like I said, I would feel honored.
Well, how quickly we got off track too. That took like 30 seconds.
No, but
par for the course.
Question, Andrew.
Yes.
I thought that it could be broken down into two things: what you were asking about this game and the Bledsoe situation, and also Brady. I mean, the quicker part of it. I do think it's interesting that Brady was chosen, considering that Damon Huard was technically ahead of him at the beginning of the season. Yep. And I didn't know that he was a career 5-1 quarterback at that time. So, I mean, Belichick was pretty bold to throw in a guy who threw in like 2 or 3 professional passes before that.
Yep.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think Brady's stats before this, he had thrown 3 passes and completed one of them for 6 yards in a blowout the year before on Thanksgiving against the Detroit Lions. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that doesn't count the passes he threw when Bledsoe got hurt in the Jets game. He looked pretty good in that game.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing that stuck out to me. And this was, we'll just start talking about Brady, I guess. Just how Brady, he looked. I mean, he wasn't as accurate and he wasn't the results weren't quite there, but he just looked like Tom Brady. He walked in there just looking like he owned the place, like he'd been the starter for 20 years already. Had complete control of the huddle. And then his first play from scrimmage, he ran into a sack. And his first pass attempt, he chucked it 20 yards over the head of some wide open receiver. But it was like vintage Brady from the beginning.
Yeah, it was also interesting kind of looking back at those articles and seeing how he was, because, I mean, now he's sort of, he's earned his confidence, I guess you could say. And but in reading how he spoke, and I guess I kind of remember this a little bit back then, but it obviously wasn't a thing until maybe years later. But, I mean, he was pretty confident with the media. He was pretty confident with Robert Kraft. And we all know the story about how, he approached Robert Kraft after he drafted him and basically told him that it was the best decision he ever made. Well, that sort of carried through to the rest of the media. I mean, everything that I read was this guy who was claiming he wasn't nervous. He was ready. He was underestimated. And this was even before his first start. So, I mean, that was pretty, I don't know if it's impressive or what, but the guy obviously knew who he was.
Oh, absolutely. I will say the one difference that I noticed, the biggest difference, was how much of a hardo he was on the snap cadence. He was barking out signals back then. I don't know if that was just an overcompensation thing, but now he still yells at people, but it's not the same. He's just trying to get the ball in his hands. But back then he was like, or maybe it was just the audio, the way it was different back then, but it just sounded like he was putting a whole bunch of extra oomph into snapping that football.
I mean, that might play into, I also read that he felt like he always did whatever he wanted to do team-wise to get them motivated, but as a backup, you sort of don't have any leverage. So he felt that by being a starter for the first time, people actually would listen to what he was barking out. So it might have played into that.
Yeah, I could see that. That would make a lot of sense.
The other part of the thing that you had brought up that I was referring to was, the Bledsoe injury. But I actually thought it was interesting, and again, I didn't think anything of it back then. But there was so along with his punctured lung and the internal bleeding, I guess he might have or might have not blacked out for a number of seconds, and he was concussed. And Belichick kind of talked openly about it, which he obviously wouldn't today. But he was talking about how he regretted throwing Drew out there because he wasn't quite himself. And a lot of articles were actually addressing, creating a concussion protocol or something like that. That was obviously years out. But that was pretty interesting to see and kind of see where Drew was at that time as well.
Yep. Yeah, no, that was, because that was before the whole, even before, I think concussions were talked about as part of football too. Because the one thing that I've noticed about watching these games in general is just how much harder the hits seem, and how there's a whole lot more like head contact in all these hits. I mean, I think the defensive star of this game that we'll get to eventually is Brian Cox, and he was just laying the wood on people. But it felt like he was leading with his head the entire time.
And just the defensive receiver thing, not a thing.
Oh, yeah, just laying out receivers. There was one kickoff return where Tabucky Jones basically just clotheslined the kick returner.
Yes.
And got a penalty for it, but was still taunting the entire time they were calling the penalty, still jacked up about it.
It was like a straight clothesline. Yeah,
just straight up, just got him right across the neck.
Oh no, he's beat me. I'll just stick my arm clothesline this guy.
It was a bit brutal, and they called it a face mask. I'm like, that wasn't a face mask. He just mashed that guy's throat with his forearm.
Commentators were loving it too.
Yeah, well, that was Gus Johnson
really setting a tone here. You can see how he leads with his head. What a great hit! It's geez.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But before we get too far into that, let's talk about the Colts, because we probably should have started with that. So this Colts team coming in was 2-0. They had blown the doors off of the Dolphins and the Bills, I believe. And the week before, they put up 40-something points on the Bills. They didn't punt the entire game. It was your typical Peyton Manning Colts offensive performance. I think their first 4 or 5 drives of the half were touchdowns of the first half in that game. So I looked it up, and the Colts are actually favored by 11.5 in this game.
Ooh,
coming into Foxborough Stadium against a team that actually had Belichick had given Manning trouble in the past, the year before. I think the Patriots had beat them once. But this was not the Colts' best year, actually. This was when they were still in the AFC East. They would finish the season 6-10, even after starting 2-0. And they would finish 4th in the AFC East out of 5 teams, I want to say. Yep. And they were one. The AFC East actually sent 3 teams to the playoffs this year, and they were one of the ones that weren't. It was them and the Bills didn't make it, but it was the Pats, Dolphins, and Jets, all from the AFC East, made the playoffs. Here's an interesting morsel for you boys. You can put this in your little Halloween basket. The head coach was Jim Mora, who is actually a different Jim Mora than the one who coached the Falcons. I didn't realize there was 2 of them.
Are they related?
Yeah, wow. Who eats candy when you have that?
That's what I mean. That's a tasty morsel.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're related. I couldn't find anything in the 30 seconds of Googling I did, but I got super confused trying to find out which one was which.
Yeah, isn't it Jim Mora Jr.? Again, I don't know if there's a relation or not, but I also was very sad in looking over everything and realizing that it was the Colts of Jim Mora's last season as a coach, and that guy was a character, and I miss him dearly.
Yeah,
he was the playoffs guy.
Yeah, oh hell yeah.
Yeah,
Playoffs.
Talk about playoffs.
And I think he followed it up with, "I just want to win a damn game." So that's fair.
That could have been
now
this
they would
season.
be killed.
Yeah, that sounds like it might have been this season.
Because they did finish 6-10 and miss the playoffs.
Oh, was it this year?
It could have been.
Oh man, that's great.
The other coach of note in this game was their defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, who you might recognize from being a horrendous Flacco-led Broncos team this year. And he is in charge of that dumpster fire. Although they're not Flacco-led anymore. They're Flacco-less, right? Because he's out.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, he just got hurt. So I'm sure they'll turn it around the second half of the season without.
Oh yeah, well John Elway's great at drafting quarterbacks, so this is a done deal.
Well, I was going to say which one outlasts who? Is it Vic or is it Elway?
I don't think Denver will ever get rid of Elway.
That's
just on name alone.
Sucks.
Yeah. Did you see the story about how he had all the boxes checked for drafting Russell Wilson except for the height one, and so he passed on him? That's so John Elway. He loves him some big white quarterbacks with massive arms.
That's a bold take, Andy.
All right, let's talk. So we'll go to the players. I don't know if we can any of you name anybody on the defense?
No.
For the
I
Colts?
didn't recognize a single guy.
The Colts. Yeah, for the Colts. I recognize one guy. I recognize one name, and it was Jeff Burris. And I remembered him as a Buffalo Bill. I didn't even know he played for the Colts. I don't remember him being particularly good. I think I just had his football card growing up. That was literally the only name I recognized, which makes a lot of sense when you see how this game ended. I love the talk of the commentators about how the Colts were feeling disrespected because the offense was so good and everybody was talking shit about the Colts defense. And then the Patriots came in and just dominated them. Offense had a lot more known names. Obviously, quarterback Peyton Manning. He threw for over 4,000 yards this season and 26 touchdowns, but he also had 23 picks. And I think most of those came against the Patriots. Do they count? I'm assuming they don't count pick sixes as touchdowns thrown, right?
For the quarterback,
Probably
no.
correct.
Yeah, because I mean that would give them an extra couple.
I mean, if that was the case, the Dolphins would be like leading the league this year.
I think Fitzpatrick would lead the league every year. Him or Jameis Winston.
Jameis, definitely Jameis.
And then for wide receivers, they had obviously Marvin Harrison, who, hang on, where's my note for this? I wrote this down. I thought it was funny, so I'm gonna beat you over the head with it. Marvin Harrison was dropping balls in this like he drops bodies.
Oh.
I thought that was a good one. And there was also Reggie Wayne was actually on the team. This was his rookie season, but I don't think he caught a ball in this game. At least not one that I noticed.
No, it was all Jerome Payton.
Yeah, he was in a factor.
Yeah, Jerome Payton, who was leading the team in receptions, which was baffling because I kind of recognize the name, but I don't remember him playing for the Colts for some reason.
I do. I feel like he was like once Reggie Wayne came good too. He was like a solid number 3 guy.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know, but he didn't have a great game either.
Well, it's because Brian Cox taking his head off every time he touched the ball.
Yeah, that definitely set the tone. So tight end was Marcus Pollard, who was actually the second leading receiver on the team this season behind Marvin Harrison. And then the running backs, which I want to talk about, were Dominic Rhodes, who was the leading rusher apparently on the team, even though I don't remember seeing him much in this game.
Yeah, he was a rookie too, I think.
Yeah, and then Edgar and James was here And I feel like he was the leading rusher for the past few years before this, but I don't know if he had injuries or just a bad year or whatever, but he finished a distant second in rushing this year. And I kind of wanted to use that as a segue to talk about this Patriots defense, because I thought, I don't know if they were in Edgar and James's head or if he's just soft. I don't remember. I remember kind of the general feeling of the Patriots being a harder team than the Colts, and the Colts were always like a bit more finesse and you could kind of beat them up. But Edgar and James was super soft in this game. Did anyone else see that, or am I an idiot?
That's the homerism we're looking for, Andy.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like he was always like that against the Patriots. And I don't know if it was the type of game that they got into. I mean, obviously in this one, it was a little bit lopsided towards the end, but I don't know. I feel like, didn't he have a rap for being kind of soft sometimes?
That's what I'm thinking. I know the whole team, but Edgar and James, like he never seemed to finish a run. Every time he got hit, he just kind of went down.
I mean, he
seemed to like fight for extra yards.
But
oh yeah, he's great in space. He can make people miss. Yeah. But he never seemed to like try to get that extra yard.
Yeah, I don't think that was his style.
A couple of like 3rd and 1s where they ran him up the middle. He just like hit somebody and fell over, and that was it. So I don't know if it was like if he was dealing injury or what, but I mean, he was kind of responsible for a lot of the mistakes on the Colts offense in this game. Like he had a rough game.
I don't know. Peyton Manning threw some brutal interceptions.
He did. And I think, I mean, this is a Bill Belichick defense going against the young quarterback. Because, let's see, Peyton Manning, how many years had he been in the league at this point? 2 or 3?
Yeah, but I mean,
98.
He was crushing it. You know, even in the year prior, I mean, his first year was a wash, but yeah. I mean, he was kind of evolving the offensive side of things, football wise. So, I mean, yeah, he was young, but I mean, we got to give Belichick credit for coming up with a game plan that he was sort of blowing up other teams with. And yeah, sure. I mean, it as he got more seasoned, it was a little bit more of a chess match, but he still was a pretty experienced guy at this point, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it now, his rookie year was 98, so this is his 4th year in the league.
Yeah.
He had thrown for his first year, he threw for 3,700 yards, and everything after that was at least 4,000 yards. And in the 2 seasons prior to this, he had gone 13-3 and then 10-6. So, I mean, they'd been putting up numbers. He'd been throwing touchdowns, and they were winning games. But still, like, he just looked lost in this game. I mean, there was some mistakes that weren't necessarily his. Like, a couple of interceptions were bounced off of receivers' hands and stuff like that. Like, one of the ones, Edgar and James had a pass out of the backfield that he bobbled straight up into Roman Pfeiffer's hands.
God, so soft.
So soft. And then the one where even Edgar and James, he caught a screen pass and then tried to switch the ball from one hand to another and just straight up dropped it. That's just soft.
Well, and also, I mean, as we'll see as the season goes on, the way that they did play defense, like Steve was talking about, they're like mauling wide receivers, and that was something that Peyton obviously couldn't adapt to, and his receivers couldn't either. So it's sort of like, I think, a perfect storm for every part of that offense to kind of be affected in one way or another.
Yeah, I think the Patriots at that time matched up really well with their offense's style of play.
Yeah, they were very kind of big physical corners. Even Ty Law, who you don't really think of as a physical corner, because of the time he played in, was, I mean, you look at him play now and he was all over people.
I mean, Tabucky Jones clotheslined a dude.
Exactly. Let's see.
I wanted to ask you about the so Gus Johnson and Brent Jones were the commentators. Did you have any level of hatred towards those fellas?
Gus Johnson was pretty dumb, but I like not Gus. what's his name?
Gus
Brent.
Johnson's
Brent Jones.
the best.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, Brent Jones was kind of like whatever. I don't
Okay.
think he really knew what he was talking about. No, Gus Jones is great. He can make anything sound exciting.
Yeah, he's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, no, Gus Johnson's great.
Him doing the Final Four is just music to my ears.
From the parking lot.
Sorrentine from the parking lot.
Exactly.
Batista with the catch.
But even in this, yeah, what was I just wrote it down. Brady threw a frozen rope.
That's a good line.
It was like a 20-yard in. It was great. I mean, he hucked it, but he just gets so excited. I also liked how they were. Man. He was. He bet Brent Johnson. He's like, I will carry your luggage for the rest of the year if the Colts get shut out. Like halfway through the third quarter. And then I had to stop and look at the score and be like, did they? No, I don't think they got shut out. And then they showed the shot of the leader of the Boston Symphony. And Brent goes, hey, you like the symphony, Gus? And Gus is like, nah, it's not my thing. And then they just kind of moved on. Glad we brought that up, boys. All right, yeah, before we get to the game, was there any other like non-football related stuff that you guys noticed? Because I had a couple things.
I noticed that Brady looked goofy as hell.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's amazing how he could take a team and get everyone on board. And like, obviously the way he is now, Mr. Model and, pristine everything. And I feel like that sort of, what was that?
The most handsome man alive?
Yeah, pretty much that. Yeah. And I feel like that turned around like maybe like 2007. So before that, he was sort of like this regular guy. I thought that was just fun to kind of see this wide-eyed kid who's a little dopey and like goofy. And
he is. He's such a goober.
It's a little bit. He's a what is that, like Andy Griffith character or in Happy Days, whatever, like Ron Howard was. He reminds me of that kid. Opie? I don't know.
We didn't watch TV in the Brown house growing up. It was just football.
That's right. It was PBS, right?
Yeah. It was Mr. Rogers and football on Sundays. That was it.
I don't think you need anything else.
We couldn't even call it TV. We had to call it you know what.
Oh, that's right. We weren't allowed to say the word TV because otherwise we wouldn't be allowed to get to watch TV.
Yeah.
How did you guys deal with this
Mom,
growing up?
Watch you know what?
Oh boy.
Even that wouldn't work sometimes.
Joke's on you, Mom. I'm addicted to Netflix.
She did her best.
I'm watching TV as we're doing this podcast right now.
Oh, God. Yeah, I definitely went through a phase where if a TV was on, I couldn't not watch it. And that was a detriment.
Oh, I can't fall asleep with the TV on.
Oh, God, no. Did you guys notice the old school touchdown song? That was one of the things I want to bring up.
What was that?
The hey.
Oh, yeah. I always liked that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, why'd they get rid of it? So I looked it up. And it was written by Gary Glitter, who turns out was convicted of downloading over 4,000 pornographic images of children and sent to jail for 4 months.
Oh, man.
He was also charged with having sex with an underage girl. Then in March 2006, Glitter was convicted of molesting 2 girls, aged 11 and 12 in Vietnam, in jail for 3 years.
Wow, way to bring it down, Andy.
I know.
So, as much as I like the song, I kind of understand why they don't play that one anymore.
Yeah, give me Crazy Train. I'm good.
Yeah, but I will say...
did you hear what happened to Ozzy Osbourne recently?
No.
Child porn?
I don't know. I'm just throwing that out
there.
We're
headed.
I have no idea what's going on with Ozzy.
There's like truth to that. Like if you look up all those like hair metal guys from the 80s, almost all of them have like underage women rumors.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, they all dress like they were underage women. So.
I hope they were carding them. That's all I want.
Oh, they definitely were. I'm sure they were checking IDs at the door.
They're on track for a while there.
Yeah, not really. The other thing that I do wish they kept was every time the Patriots were on defense and it was third down, they had that like bell tolling.
Oh yeah.
I know they have the whatever horn it is now, But that bell tolling is ominous as hell.
You know why they stopped that?
Give me the fog.
Why'd they stop it, Mike?
Because the guy that would ring that foghorn thing, he was caught doing things with the turtle, and people were pretty upset about that. I don't know if you remember this or not.
Wasn't PETA involved?
Yes.
And like the writers of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No, I'm being serious, guys. If you look it up, Google it. Just type in guy who controlled the foghorn for Foxborough Turtle, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
All right. I'm going to let our listeners do that.
In Google, it shows up.
It does?
What is it?
No, because you made it up, you dickhead.
No, I didn't. I don't like that, Greg.
It does? You made it a lie up, dude.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the game itself. It felt like it was over from the first quarter to me. And I kind of forget what this feels like to be an underdog and take the lead in a game, because I couldn't tell you the last time it happened, like recently. Because usually it's the other way around, where the Patriots are the favorite and it's an underdog beating them. And I know what that feels like, because we had that, was it last year against the Titans, where you kind of feel it in the first quarter. You're like, this isn't going to go well. If the Patriots win, it's going to be ugly and they don't deserve it. And the Titans just outplayed them.
Yeah, me and Greg were there for that.
Yeah, that's right. I was actually supposed to go to that game, and I'm glad I didn't.
Although at the very end...
I'm glad you didn't too.
At the very end, I was like, in the fourth quarter, with like 5 minutes left, I was like, Greg, let's leave. And he's like, nope. You gotta sit there and take your licks, bro.
That's right.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, was that the same year we whooped them up in the playoffs?
No, we didn't play in the playoffs that year, did we?
Yeah, this was last year.
Yeah, this is this past year.
But it was all part of the journey.
Yes. But like, yeah, I forgot what it feels like to be the underdog and take that lead like into the first quarter, because it was. How's that pumpkin going, Greg?
It sucks, dude. Carving pumpkins blows.
It sounds like you're slurping on something.
Yeah, it's already coming out like shit. I just gave up.
Oh God.
I'm not an artist.
No, me neither.
I'm an artiste.
No, you're not. But yeah, I mean, this game, like the Pats just came out and controlled it from the beginning. They had 103 rushing yards to the Colts 13 in the first quarter alone, which was basically all Antoine Smith. Like, that dude is an absolute monster. He reminds me of like a skinnier LeGarrette Blount.
Yes.
Like he's not the fastest guy. I mean, he was quick, but he wasn't going to pull away from people like defensive backs if he breaks off a run. Like, they'll catch up to him, but he's gonna make him earn that tackle.
Well, he had a 70-yard run.
Not in this game.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, it was like 30 or 40 yards, but yeah, like in the first quarter, that early one.
I don't remember. This is that.
Oh wait, yeah, it was a 39-yarder in the first quarter with he stiff-armed guys. He was tight on the sideline. Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that stiff arm was dirty, and it was just very like Blunt-esque. He's like, well, I'm not gonna outrun you, but I mean, you're not gonna tackle me either, so I'm just gonna put my fist in your face and we'll see what happens.
And he had 90 plus yards and 2 touchdowns, I think.
Yeah, I think he went over 100 yards, didn't he?
Was he? I don't know. I mean, he had a great game, though.
Oh, no, you're right. He had 94 yards. Wow, I'm surprised he didn't go over.
It's called show prep, Andy.
Yeah, well. I feel like between the four of us, we'll all do like one.
We'll eventually get
show prep
in the right area.
And we got there eventually, right? That's good teamwork. Just like the Patriots offensive line.
That's right. Oh, and speaking of the offensive line, sorry, that's a good point, though. I was just looking at it. Like, just watching the game, I'm like, it's amazing how many guys on the offensive line were mainstays for the team. Like just jotting down Matt Light, Damian Woody, Joe Andruzzi. So that was a pretty solid foundation.
Yeah. And even Mike Compton was there. I mean,
oh, true. Yeah.
He wasn't there for a long time, but is he the only offensive lineman who wore a visor?
That thing was sick.
I remember thinking that was like the coolest thing back in the day.
Why do they not wear that? Because you probably get poked in the eye a little fair amount down there in the trenches.
You would think some shit happens. But I also noticed that I don't know if he did it in this game as much because they didn't play the shotgun, but I think there was an issue with Damian Woody's shotgun snap. So they were kind of switch positions if the quarterback was in the shotgun, and Compton would be the center and would be snapping shotgun.
Wow, that is detailed observation right there. I did not notice that.
Yeah,
so
it didn't have so much.
I know, right?
You say that, but I actually noticed it in the Jets game, and I forgot to mention it. So,
damn.
Watching the all 22s, huh?
Oh yeah, I don't think they had those back then, but yeah, damn right. And I think eventually they'll talk about it because I feel like it comes up like in the playoffs.
Well, speaking of equipment, Brian Cox's whatever that thing is on the back of his neck is still the best thing in the world.
I want to call it a neck roll, but it extends above his helmet. So at that point, I don't think it's a roll anymore. It's like a plank.
Yeah, and I don't know why it looks so intimidating, but I think it's the best thing in the world.
It's great. It looks like he ripped out the headrest of his car and just stuck it down the back of his shirt.
I don't see that very often nowadays. I mean, it probably like constricts you pretty well, and it's probably due to an injury or something, come to think of it, but still look pretty badass.
I mean, he wore it a lot because
that's why Leighton Vander Esch wears it because he had a neck injury, I'm pretty sure. Back from the Cowboys.
Well, I think the main piece of it is the intimidation factor.
Definitely helps because a lot of the fullbacks wear them still. Like James Devlin.
Oh, he has that like big roll thing.
Yeah, it's not as pronounced, but he's definitely got that roll.
Yeah.
So I think it basically, if you're leading with your head into people, which are basically fullbacks and run stuffing linebackers, it's usually with that.
What happened to those guys though? Like, remember like John Randall and the Vikings where he'd like wear like war paint on his face?
Yeah.
I feel like that's missing nowadays.
Yeah, and that was one of my points I wrote down. Like, has there ever been a more psychotic linebacker core than Brian Cox and Teddy Bruschi in the middle?
Yeah, that's insane.
Those two, like, it just looks like they want to hit anything. Like, it doesn't even have to be a person. I feel like they just like come out at the beginning, like before the game, and just start like running into the goalposts to warm up.
I don't know. Psychotic, you could just like Vontae's perfect than anybody else.
That's true.
That's not psychotic. That's just work. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's psychotic. I don't know. I'm sure Ray Lewis is on that list.
I feel like that guy pretty much created the present day Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I suppose.
Remember that game that he like laid him out and he was unconscious for like 3 weeks?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, in the playoffs.
Yeah. I feel like Antonio Brown is slightly different since that day.
He's never recovered. I think you're right.
Yeah.
That was brutal.
Remember when Mom wrote that letter to the NFL?
Did she?
Yes.
I don't remember that. What did it say?
It was the Dolphins playoff game against the Steelers.
Oh.
And like the backup quarterback, I think it wasn't Tannehill. It was like Matt Moore.
Yeah.
He was just like sliding and just got like blown up.
Yeah, no, he was rolling out and he threw the ball away. Yeah, and took a
Bud Dupree.
Yeah, took a helmet right to the
Steelers
mouth. Yeah,
yep.
Dude, Mom. I was watching that game with Mom. She legitimately sent an email to the NFL because I explained. Yeah, I explained the rule in college where you can review those things, and she's like, "They need that in the fucking NFL." She's like, "I'm emailing them."
Your mom's awesome though. Like I remember like being at some game. I don't know if it was a soccer game or whatever, but everyone was booing, and she was disgusted and yelling at everybody for having like no class, and I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's our mother.
No, that
I
doesn't
feel like
sound
we should kind of touch on her because I think she is the reason we're into football, which is unusual, especially since I don't think most listeners know that her and dad were both born and raised in England and moved here when they were, what, like 30, late 20s, early 30s?
no, it's earlier than that. It was like
Yeah.
mid.
Yeah, it's probably mid to late 20s because I was born when they were 27. So
Also, Andy, you said most listeners. We have no listeners.
well,
Right.
actually, yeah, our listener is mom anyway, so we'll talk about her.
Yeah, right. She knows all of this. This is her.
Yeah. But the story that I was told, and I think we'll probably have to have her on to explain this in more detail, but because dad came over for a job, so he had a green card to work and stuff, but she didn't. She just came over because she was married to him. So she couldn't get a job over here, so she was kind of sitting around doing nothing. And so she decided to learn about football. So she was watching it, but obviously if you've come from a country that doesn't have football, you try to just like cold get into it. You have no idea what's going on. So what she would do is she would write down questions she would have about the game, like, what's a first down, or, what is offsides? And she would send it to work with dad, who would then take this piece of paper that his wife had written football questions on and give them to coworkers, American coworkers. And they would write down the answers for him or explain them to him, and he would come back and report, what offsides was.
Did your mom kind of invent Google?
That's what that was. That's Google.
That's
Holy shit. That's amazing.
It's like
It's like an Ask Jeeves,
Right.
yeah.
But instead it was Ask Mick, yeah. That's what it should have been.
Which is, think about it, when she was like watching all the sports, like all the other Boston teams are sick. Like the Bruins, badass. The Celtics are winning like championships every year. Red Sox are really good then too. And the Patriots, trash.
Yeah, but that was always her thing. Is even in England, she would always pick the shittiest soccer team to root for because she just loved the underdog. So coming here, like the Patriots fit perfectly because this was like the Rod Rust era when they're going 1-15 and coaches were getting electrocuted at the podium, sort of shit.
Sounds like Greg moving to Raleigh and being an NC State fan.
Yeah, same idea.
Why she used to go to your soccer games in high school, Andy.
That's true. Yeah, we didn't win many of those either.
She never came to my games.
You didn't play.
14 in the country, baby. Undefeated.
Right.
What, my soccer team? I don't think so.
I was on that soccer team, but I don't think I played much either.
Were you? In high school?
No.
No, you didn't last that long. We did play 1 year of football, though. That didn't last long either.
No, my parents pulled me out for poor grades.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, for academic reasons.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Think of what you could have been, Mike.
I know, man. I remember some scrimmage. I almost got a sack, so that was pretty cool. I don't know what I was doing playing linebacker, but hey.
I remember being scout team wide receiver and getting lit the fuck up, Brian Cox style.
Those guys, I mean, football is fun to play and all, but when you're like, I feel like we were undersized, so I kind of empathize with like these David Pattons of the world, and they really love to like light you up, I think. Oh,
yeah.
I remember I was, my helmet was too tight. My pants didn't quite fit right. It was a disaster. But I think that was the most pain overall over the course of several months I've ever been in. So props to these guys.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know how they do it.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Now I would dominate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Now I don't feel pain.
Right.
I'm dead inside. It's beautiful.
I put on some weight, so I'm ready to go.
This is true. I've also put on weight, but not in a good way. So speaking of football,
right? I like how you're on track for like 2 minutes there. It's good work.
Yeah, we're killing it. Let's see. So we're talking about Antoine Smith. He was kind of the driver of the offense. And we talked about Brian Cox, who was the driver of the defense. And he was the lead blocker on the last Patriots rushing touchdown as well, which is pretty cool. So I think he probably got the Belichick game ball in this game.
That was a physical win, right?
It was like one of those, like how you remember the Patriots beating the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the score, and there was like a lot of points, but that team, the offense and the defense, were just knocking people around.
Yeah,
kind of miss it.
Oh yeah, I mean, but obviously these guys. Anymore. Yeah, but they I don't think they lasted as long either, or maybe they did, and now they're all just a little.
Yeah, they lasted as long in the NFL, but
meal brains,
not in life. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
like you, Milo.
Oh man, I suffered a beating. I'm telling you, my helmet was 2 sizes too small. I had like black and blue ears just by putting the helmet on.
Mine was too big.
Okay,
you sound like Trent Williams.
Sound like Antonio Brown.
Hey, Andy was there through it. Okay, they didn't have anything else. All right, I was like third string, like fullback. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
They didn't care about me, and
I was 6'2", 150 pounds. They had me at running back. You can imagine that with a helmet.
They had me at fullback.
We got the dregs. We got the dregs of the equipment.
Yeah, man. I just remember I might have not even been 100 pounds, and I'm fullback. What kind of coach was running this thing?
Coach.
Oh, it was, dude.
Well, he was varsity. We weren't on varsity. We weren't.
All right,
even
yeah. He was just
the freshman team.
That's right. He was in the vicinity.
Was that who it was?
Oh, I know.
I think.
And then there was some Marine guy that was there.
Oh yeah.
Whatever that guy. I forget the kid's name. I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you guys get
world.
bullied?
I don't think we did because I made friends with all the seniors. So.
Oh yeah.
Kind of managed to bypass all that, but we may have seen some hazing back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of
like
dick.
What?
A lot of
pedos. Yes, a lot of
yeah.
Everywhere too. You go to the restroom. People are taking craps with like the stalls, wide open. I think we were afraid to take showers. I pretty much washed up in the lake nearby when we went to camp. I mean, yeah.
Oh, I didn't shower that whole camp. I just fuck it. Did not shower.
You didn't shower after football
practice? You did. I'm not sure I did either.
Disgusting.
No, you don't want to be a freshman in those showers.
Dude, I've been a freshman in showers. It's not that bad.
These are different. They're a different animal. I don't know if they exist nowadays.
Dude, you just strut in there, dick hanging, you'll be fine.
My dick was not hanging. It was tucked away. I was
dick tucking.
Like I said, I had to hide I had to put makeup on my ears so they wouldn't laugh at like my bruised ears from. It's a different time.
Yeah, and seeing dick is one thing, but like having it touching you is something else.
Whoa!
Like was making himself look feminine.
Just having it on your shoulders.
What happened, Andy?
Well, it wasn't us, but didn't.
Oh yeah.
On the shoulder.
I don't know if we should be talking about this, but maybe.
No, this is.
You know what? This should come to light. No, you cannot cut this. This needs to be stated that some crazy shit was going down, and we were silent. And we let it happen. Okay.
So do you want to describe the helicopter, or should I?
You can go for it, but I can vouch for it.
You know
pretty
what I'm talking
about.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it is.
We won't say his name, but there's a gentleman.
I blocked it.
All right. Well, there you go. There's a gentleman who can do things with his balls that I've never seen since then or heard of. Yeah.
Yeah. He was able to twist them around the shaft multiple times
and make it spin like a helicopter.
Yeah. And then he would release it, and it would kind of rotate as if it were trying to take off from his body. It was oddly hypnotic, I have to say.
He would also sort of place his member. Well, yeah, that too, but we won't talk about that. He would take out his member and gently place it in front of sleeping guys' faces, and then gently wake them up so they woke up with wiener in their face. I believe this is called sexual harassment, guys.
I think so.
That's just boys being boys.
But somehow Andy and I
love how on topic we've been this whole time.
Oh yeah, this is still football. This is
I will say camp. Somehow football Andy and I avoided most of that. I don't know how, but.
I don't either. Well, I avoided it because I was friends with you, and you somehow were like
I infiltrated.
Right. You were the pet of all the senior offensive linemen.
Yeah, that's right. They protected me, and then they kind of let me. Like I remember one time being woken up and everybody was wearing just underwear and their helmets, and they're like, "Hey Milo, let's go bang on everybody's cabin door." And I thought this was insane, and I was sleeping. So most people were forced to do it, but I was like, "Nah, you mind if I sit this one out?" And they were cool with it. So I have no idea. I did not partake. For the record, I was not part of the sexual harassment of Andy Brown or anybody else.
Nope. This is true. I'll vouch for that. But this is where he got his nickname from. This is where Milo came from.
That's true.
Yep.
So
football camp.
Because I was selected to do the Matthew Slater, where I would have to do like the speech, because they thought it was funny, like this 105-pound kid. Hey, let's have him like do the rah-rah thing. So as I was doing it, some guy, the team captain, got my name wrong, and he thought it was hilarious. So nobody knew who I was before, and then I became known as a guy for my mispronounced name. Yeah. So it was fantastic.
He was Milo from then on.
They I was friends with those guys. They were great.
I'll bet you were.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, moving on.
Speaking of dicks, how about the Colts kicker Mike Vanderjark? That guy's a dick.
He was pretty good though.
When he was sober, yeah.
Well, even when he wasn't, can you imagine kicking the field goal like smashed?
Yeah, that would be tougher. Not exactly performance enhancing, is it? Although it probably calmed the nerves, depending on how many you had.
Oh, true.
So,
I mean, it's like golf, right? A little swing oil.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little liquid courage.
Yeah.
You don't want those nerves jangling.
Speaking of kickers, though, I don't know why, but again, third week in a row, I have Lee Johnson's name down with a big star next to it. So,
I thought the punting in this game wasn't that great.
All right.
Kicking in the end zone by like 10 yards.
Yeah, the Colts punter's kicking it literally out of the back of the end zone on a punt. Like, I know it was windy, but like, come on, dude. You play for the Colts. They don't punt from their own side of the field ever. Like, you should learn how to drop it inside the 20, I would think.
I'm going to give, I don't want to spoil my best of the game, but I'm going to.
All right. All right, go ahead.
Vrabel. First Mike Vrabel appearance.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was good.
Some might say that's the first connection of Brady and Vrabel, which the rumors have stated that if he leaves New England, he could join Vrabel in Tennessee.
Well, all right.
20 years later, baby.
I
heard he likes country music too.
Fuck,
Vrabel
awesome.
or Brady?
No, Brady.
What? He's
he likes
eclectic.
Yeah. Tennessee, going to Nashville. I mean, it makes sense.
I don't feel it.
Dude, you should write that up, Greg, and get that out there. Because if you don't, Schefter will.
I'll just email Felger.
Oh, Felger's all the fuck over it already. I promise you that. So, Greg, I'm a little disappointed in you that you haven't actually brought up Ty Law yet.
Oh, man, he's an absolute stud.
That's better.
He shot Marvin Harrison. They gave his numbers, like all those times he played the Pats before, like 6 touchdowns in 5 games or something. Ty Law steps in and just bully balls. Just shoving around the field, doing whatever he wanted with him.
He really was.
He's the best athlete in the secondary the Pats have ever seen.
You think so?
Yeah, from like size, speed, ball skills.
He was a surprisingly
Gilmore's good, but
big guy. Yeah.
Some might say he's in the Hall of Fame.
That's true.
Some could say that.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Even Otis was pretty good.
Yeah.
OTIS, baby.
Although because Otis was end of the second quarter, the Colts were driving for a score, and then Peyton threw a pick to Otis Smith. What, like
78 yards. Oh my God. That
return.
Best moment.
But who threw the block to get Otis Smith actually around the corner and into the end zone?
Ty Law.
That's right. The lead blocker.
That's right.
And then Peyton Manning getting thrown out of the club by, I don't know, Anthony Pleasant or some defensive lineman. On the replay, they're trying to
talk about the Manning face.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that.
The Manning face, dude. It's so good to see it again.
Oh man, I wrote that. Yeah, at least 8 different times in that game.
So many times, dude.
So many.
Where he'll throw someone like a tough pass and they won't catch it, and then he'll just look at him with this like mopey look on his. It's so perfect.
And just kind of throw his hands up. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's like, dude, this is a bad throw.
It was beautiful. Although I have to say, I forgot how obnoxious Manning was pre-snap. And it gave me flashbacks to playing Madden back in the day.
Yeah.
Where they had like programmed that in that he would just make audibles until the clock ran out and then he would hike the ball. And you're sitting there waiting like, just hike the ball. We know what's happening here. I have this game on easy. I'm going to sack you on this play because that's why I have it on easy. So just fucking get over it and like call a play.
Yeah, he was the worst. He was fun to watch, but it's hard to like the guy.
I started liking him as soon as he started making commercials. So he started chanting,
I like him way more
meat.
now.
Yeah. He's got like a little YouTube series. Have any of you watched it?
No. Oh, is
I've
that
just
on
seen the clips?
Where he like breaks down stuff or something?
Yeah, because he did one on Brady's overtime drive against the Chiefs in the playoffs last year, and it was actually really good because obviously.
Oh, you're talking about that thing?
Yeah,
because he's got a show now too.
Really? I thought
it's
that
like
was
a pseudo comedy show thing.
Oh, I
really?
didn't know that.
Yeah, where he goes around like interviewing like famous players like Franco Harris and shit.
Are you sure that's not a State Farm commercial?
It's sponsored. It could be sponsored by State Farm.
I liked him when he started doing commercials. So, like, what, his 3rd year in the league?
Right.
Yeah, whenever he did cut that meat.
Oh, I know. I know one of the guys in that commercial. He got to share some screen time with Peyton Manning. I think he was the guy that was asking him to sign the loaf of bread.
You get screen credit for that?
I don't think so, but he probably got a good chunk of change.
All right. What's he doing now? That was obviously like a stepping stone to stardom, right?
He is doing some fun. His name is Jesse Gavin. He's doing some great videos online. He's also a successful commercial actor. So shout out to Jesse Gavin.
Oh yeah, I actually recognize that name probably from you. I would imagine.
Is this the guy that you banged, Mike?
Yeah. Would you bang him?
What? Or that I
would you have sex with him, Mike?
Would I? Or
Yes.
This is not the same guy that like hooked up with
you?
the hookup of Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. These are 2 separate people, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Sure they are.
Question still stands.
Look,
I still want to know if you'd bang this second guy.
In this day and age, guys, I mean, come on. Really? Come on. You're better than that.
No, we're not.
No.
Plus, I think my girlfriend just got home, so she's not going to like any of this. So hush, hush.
Would you bang her?
I don't want to.
Would you bang me, Mike?
I don't want to air dirty laundry, but you, Greg, you kind of look like Tom Brady. I'm not going to lie. So,
dude, my mom says that all the time.
Yeah. So
she says that to all of us, Greg.
No,
she doesn't say it to me.
Sorry, Steve.
Last thing I'll say on Peyton Manning though is I did love how he sort of managed to bypass the whole HGH thing, and we never hear about it again. So kudos to him for shucking the system.
Yeah.
Why? You think he did
Fight
it?
the man.
His wife seems like she could be on HGH. I mean, I don't know. It seems like a plausible story to me, right?
No, I have a strong opinion on this.
Okay.
We can't call witch hunt for Brady and Deflategate and then turn around and witch hunt Manning.
Okay. All right.
Homerism at its finest. You got to be consistent.
Do you realize what podcast this is?
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm
It's
trying
Homer
to add
Central.
some balance.
We'll get to Deflategate, man. I mean, Brady is guilty as hell. Don't get me started on that shit.
Oh, God.
He destroyed his phone, Mike.
Yeah.
You don't do that?
Evidence number 1 out of 352, and we'll go over every one of them.
We could do that.
There's time.
I'm pretty sure the people on this podcast could do that.
I don't know. Whatever that report was.
Span.
The Spectre report.
Spectre, yes. Yeah, like 500 pages of
We should get that guy in the pod.
Arlen Specter?
Well, and who's the investigator?
Nah, I don't know.
I don't know. We can get him. I'm sure he's not.
We'll find out. We'll make some phone calls.
Look, we're going to get to the bottom of this. Someday Brady's going to write his expose because his guilt is going to haunt him. He's a fucking cheater. He's
even if we do get him on the podcast, we're going to end up asking him if he can do the helicopter dick thing.
Oh shit!
Asking if he'd fuck Mike.
Everybody.
Look, guys, we're here to talk football, and we haven't even got to the second half. Okay.
All right. Well, the third quarter didn't have much in it, so let's just jump to the fourth quarter.
I actually didn't watch the third quarter.
All right, good. Don't worry about it. You missed a couple turnovers, and that was it. Fourth quarter was where all the action happened. 4 touchdowns scored in the fourth quarter. Three of them by the Patriots. One of them Peyton Manning had a hand in, because the Colts scored at the touchdown right at the end of the third quarter. To pull it a little bit closer, it was 23-7 at the end of the third quarter, and the Patriots immediately went down and scored a touchdown, which is very Patriot-esque. That was the screen pass to Antoine Smith, where he rumbled for like 40, 50 yards. And then 2 plays later, Kevin Falk ran it for a touchdown, which you don't see very often. And then like 2 plays later, Colts have the ball, and that was the Ty Law pick 6, and that was the game. Even though Peyton would follow that up with a touchdown drive of his own, eventually threw a touchdown on 4th down, and went for 2, missed it. It's now 44-13, and the game was over. And I don't think Peyton Manning actually saw the field after that. They brought in how the hell is his name? Mark Rippon.
Oh, hell yeah.
Rippon.
Redskins fame.
Yes,
I didn't
exactly.
believe that when they said that.
Yeah.
Probably start on that team right now.
Definitely could. I'll hide him. He can be the next coach.
May as well, right?
The London Redskins.
Ooh, feels nice. I feel like they probably changed the Redskins part.
Maybe. Snyder's
the London
pretty bullish on it.
Redcoats.
Ooh, red coats.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Like that.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I did find it interesting that there is video evidence out there of Bill Belichick celebrating touchdowns. I mean, he's fist pumping, he's clapping. I don't know what year that stopped. I mean, there's rumors that he sold his soul, which I think we can all agree on. But it happened then. But there is evidence of him celebrating and smiling.
Yeah, because I remember
this year.
What was that?
This year?
He sold his soul is 2001.
I don't know, because he was still celebrating. And
right. I think, if we really want to discuss when he sold his soul, I feel like it was after 2002.
I was going to say after 2004, because that was when he was still celebrating. Because remember, that was the end of the Charlie Weiss and Romeo Cornell, the 3 of them, and they were all hugging at the end, and he was hugging his dad.
Right. Yep.
And everybody's getting pissed because they poured the Kool-Aid on him and his dad, and his dad's super old. That could have killed him.
Yep. I remember that.
Boston.
Oh, that's a good point, actually.
So I think it was after that. He didn't win for a couple of years, and then he sold his soul, and that was 2007.
You're right, because then the culmination of that was probably 2007. We saw little signs of that, and then here we are now.
Spygate. Yeah, and then
it makes sense. Roger Goodell.
I never thought of it that way, but yeah, you're right. That was probably the last intimate moment he ever had.
That's the devil trying to collect is Spygate.
Yeah.
Now, if you were him, let's just say hypothetically, the devil approaches you, whatever, and he's giving you this deal where you're going to get, let's say, 8 Super Bowls by the time you die. You coach until you're 85, right? That's a pretty good run.
I'm in.
Social media goes crazy. You're beloved. Then you burn eternally. But who cares? Because there's no social media in hell. Who gives a shit? So would you do that?
Yes.
You would 100%.
It depends. What is hell?
Well,
is hell watching Because if hell was watching somebody else break all your records, that would suck.
Oh, fuck. I didn't even think about that. Right. And I would eat them alive for eternity.
That's what I mean.
Oh,
yeah.
no. Man, you're bringing up great points today, Andy.
I know. You'll have to listen to hour 2 of the podcast until I start bringing up good points.
Yeah, well,
it's gonna get warmed up.
You're definitely bringing a different perspective to the table.
Absolutely. All right, I think that covers most of the games. Let's do some best and worst. Anybody want to go first? I know Steve already gave his best. Steve, you got a worst? What was your best again? I've already forgotten. It was like an hour ago.
Mike Vrabel sighting.
Oh, that's right. The beginning of the Mike Vrabel.
First of my life at that point.
I would think so. First of most people's lives. It's not like he played much on the Steelers. So I like that. Do you have a worst?
I have another best. Does that count?
Fuck it. Yeah, let's go. We're a Patriots podcast. As many bests as you want.
They cut to like John Bon Jovi and Robert Kraft sitting together.
Did they?
Yeah.
I missed that part.
They both look super young.
I wrote down the note that Robert Kraft looked like a man who didn't need to pay for hand jobs.
I mean, you could say that because his wife was sitting next to him.
Okay. Well, way to make it real.
On now. Too soon.
I hate when you do that.
Too soon. Rest in peace, Myra. All right. Greg, give me your best and worst.
My best was Manning's favorite wide receiver, Ty Law. And
okay.
My worst is Jerome Pathan's future oatmeal brain and just general unsteadiness and mood swings.
Oh, yeah, shit.
He got lit up a bunch in this game. Like from the first play.
From the get-go.
I think that's the darkest, worst moment we've had.
I don't think so. Last week we talked a lot about 9/11, so.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. There was a Twin Tower joke in there somewhere. All right, Mike, your best and worst.
All right, best. I mean, I have a few honorable mentions just quickly, like the Fox 28-yard screen in the fourth. So Brady got hammered, but he kept his composure, completed a pass. And I was just picturing like Bledsoe running across the field, closing his eyes, throwing crossbody and tucking and rolling. So
pick six.
But yeah, Brady didn't do that. So that was pretty great.
And even just the fact that they sent Brady out to run a 4th and 3 throwback screen pass late in the fourth quarter it was showing the trust that they had in him even at that point. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then another just quick aside, they threw up a graphic of what Foxborough Stadium was versus what ended up being Gillette Stadium, and I mean they're it was a $6 million stadium. The new one's $325 million. Yeah. I mean, there's 53,000 bench seats in Foxborough, which were cold and uncomfortable. 0 in Gillette. 68,000 chairbacks. Apparently, that was a hot commodity.
Yeah. Actual chairs instead of benches.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then the last honorable mention would be Brady just randomly talking on the sideline with a line kid or whatever that was. He was just talking to some random dude, not even on the Patriots team, and just being a normal guy.
He is a normal guy.
Incredibly handsome.
Right. Oh, yes. Well, after 2007, when he sold his soul, and we can talk about that next week. But
I think we'll have to save that.
And then so my best moment was actually when they had a oh man, there's too many commentator things, but I mean the commentator. All right, there's two great ones. One is the commentator debating through the commercial. Why didn't they go for 2? Right, so the Colts kick and they're why didn't they go for 2? And they're breaking down the math, and they're going with 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions, they could take the lead. And they're legitimately talking about this. And I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, the Colts are down 24 points.
Exactly. It was so funny. Another great moment that I liked was they had a poll which 0-2 team had the best chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the Patriots weren't listed in their own game.
That was going to be my worst, yeah.
Oh, that was the best for me. I thought it was hilarious.
I have it. It was of the NFL teams starting 0-2, which has the best shot at making the playoffs? Buffalo, Detroit, Kansas City, Minnesota, Tennessee, or Washington. And then eventually they realized, wait, the Patriots aren't on this list.
Yeah, and then the commentators like maybe they could use it and have a chip on their shoulder. And I can just picture like Belichick, like, you know, after the game going, yeah, like, did you guys see that CBS like left us out of a poll? Like, so that was pretty funny. And then the worst moment,
that was up on the bulletin board.
Oh hell yeah!
Super Bowl week.
Lawyer Malloy would be ranting and raving.
Oh god, yeah.
And then the worst moment for me was just seeing Peyton run up the middle for 10 yards and a touchdown. Because how does that even happen?
Yeah, that was tough. But
if Peyton's pretty spry,
he was quick. If Peyton's running for touchdowns, you know you're doing something right, though. Because that ain't his thing.
That's right.
I like those. All right, my best. Following a failed third down conversion where Peyton Manning thought they got it. Manning right over to the referee and was like trying to convince him that the spot was wrong. And Brian Cox is standing on the sideline waving at him, waving goodbye.
That was awesome.
You catch that?
Right. That's good, yeah.
He was so in Manning's head. Brian Cox had himself a fucking game. So that was definitely my best. Honorable mention would be the fact that you saw the Patriots run Troy Brown on the jet sweep. That, like, as he's coming in motion, they just hike it real quick, turn around and hand it to him. And it wasn't as smooth as you see it nowadays, but, like, you know, Belichick ahead of the game as always. My worst was going to be the 0-2 graphic, but instead I will say it's the audio from the old Foxborough Stadium where it sounded like we were listening to a high school football game. Like you could hear the stadium announcer announcing the result of the play. Like Antoine Smith up the middle for 2 yards. Like as you hear the announcer saying the same thing. And then you could actually, because I was listening to this on headphones, and I could hear like a lot of fan chatter. And so I wrote down a few that I heard. One of the cheers was, "Way to go, O-line, looking good so far." This was.
I heard that one.
It was probably like 3 plays into the first drive.
Yeah,
which was great.
I heard that too. I was like, dude, good for them.
Super.
Some O-line, some love.
Yeah, and then another one was, "It's okay, Peyton." Which I don't know if it came from a Colts fan. And then there was another one, "Don't walk away from me, you idiot." And then there was the guy repeating, I have it as repeating 5 times, "Get me more cheeseburgers." He just kept repeating that as this like commentating going on. Yeah. And then like towards the end of the game, another guy, he must have been talking shit to a Colts fan because he's like, "Are you guys gonna lose in the first round again for the 3rd year in a row?" Like that's the taunting of a guy who's never been there before.
Yeah,
who just hasn't seen the playoffs
suck,
in a long
buddy.
fucking time. Yeah, exactly. To a Colts fan, it's like, "What? You're gonna get to the playoffs and lose again? Huh? That must suck, huh? Wonder what the playoffs feel like." No, that was it's the worst, but it was I think my worst is probably the Gary Glitter fact. The fact they stopped playing that song because he's a kitty diddler.
I have a worst. I just thought of it.
Let's hear it.
I had always thought Brady's first start was that game in Indianapolis that we're gonna watch later.
Oh.
Dave
I forget who it was, but Patton throws, runs.
Oh yeah.
Game.
Yep.
I was fully expecting to turn that game on, and I was like, "Wait, it's in Foxborough?"
So
I mean, this was still a good game to watch, though.
It was. He was pretty steady. You know, no mistakes, nothing flashy, just solid Brady.
I was a little disappointed that his first touchdown didn't go to Kevin Falk on that screen pass, though, because it was a shoestring tackle at like the 3-yard line. And that was the 4th and 3 screenplay too.
Right.
So that would have been a hell of a first touchdown to throw, but we're gonna have to wait for that for next week. So that's what in the game. That's what we call a teaser. We're gonna tease that. We're actually, and
what are we teasing exactly?
We're teasing Tom Brady's first touchdown pass.
Oh, and who are we teasing with that tidbit of?
Oh yeah, we're teasing our mom.
Oh, hi, Mrs. Brown.
So that she'll tune in next week. and listen to us talk about the Patriots at the Chargers. At the Chargers? Home versus the Chargers? Find out next week.
Yeah, it's called a teaser.
We're real good at teasing. And the best part is, that's not next week. Next week is at the Dolphins.
Well, this is just... All right. I'm done.
All right. On that note, we will see everybody next time on the Patriots Dynasty podcast.